I have pleasure in opening the ordinary council meeting of the 24th of March 2026 at 6:30 p.m. and welcome all those in attendance. I wish to inform you that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The video will appear on the council's website and YouTube channel. The public gathering will not be recorded unless accidentally, and only a participant in the meeting, namely a person asking questions at public question time, will be live streamed and recorded. If you wish to ask a question at public question time, your voice and image will be recorded and live streamed. If you do not consent to your voice and image being recorded and live streamed to the public, then you will need to leave the meeting. By staying at this meeting, you consent to your voice and image being live streamed and recorded. No other electronic, visual or audio recording device or instrument can be used to record the proceedings of this meeting without prior written permission from the council. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people as the traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I further acknowledge their cultural heritage, beliefs, connection and relationship with this land which continues today. Councillor Session, would you please read aloud the affirmation of civic duty and responsibility on behalf of the elected members present?
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. I make this affirmation in good faith and declare that I will duly, faithfully, honestly and with integrity fulfil the duties of my office for all the people in the City of Belmont according to the best of my judgment and ability. I will observe the City's Code of Conduct and standing orders to ensure efficient, effective and orderly decision-making within this forum.
Thank you, Councillor Sessions. I note there's no apologies for this meeting and no councillors recorded having a leave of absence for this meeting. Declarations of interests. Are there any financial interests? I'll ask the Coordinator of Governance, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No declarations of financial interest have been received.
Thank you. Are there any disclosure of interests affecting impartiality?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Disclosure of interest affecting impartiality has been received from Mayor Rossi for item 12.1, amendment number 25 to local planning scheme number 15, as he was a member of the former Belmont Historical Society and has been involved in efforts to save and preserve the Ascot kilns and the heritage of the area. A disclosure has also been received for Mayor Rossi for item 12.2, Council Policy Review 2025, Tranche 2, as he has previously provided input and contributed to the changes in the policies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on to 4.1, announcements. I have one. On Saturday afternoon, around 4,500 people came along to the annual City of Belmont Harmony Festival, a celebration of our diverse community. It was a chance to come together, connect and enjoy Belmont at its best. Thank you to the staff, volunteers, performers, stallholders and sponsors who made the event possible. Most importantly, thank you to the residents who came along and showed what our community is all about. I move to the disclaimer at 6:33 p.m. I wish to draw attention to the disclaimer notice contained within the agenda document and advise members of the public that any decisions made at the meeting tonight can be revoked pursuant to the Local Government Act of 1995. Therefore, members of the public should not rely on any decisions until formal notification in writing from the City has been received. Declarations by members who have not given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers present before the meeting. Are there any declarations to be made by councillors? There are none. We move to public question time. Response to questions taken on notice. Responses to questions taken on notice from the ordinary council meeting of the 24th of February 2026 are noted in the agenda for Ms Hollands, Mr Cardoso on behalf of Belmont East Ward Connect, Mr Rosalind and Mr Russell. Questions from members of the public. It is 6:34 p.m. and I open public question time and draw attention of the public gallery to the rules of public question time as written in the question time form. I remind members of the public of the Standing Orders local law requirements for members of the public to extend due courtesy and respect for both councillors and employees. Please do not use inappropriate, objectable or untruthful expressions or expressions that reflect adversely on the character or actions of councillors or employees. If any expression is deemed inappropriate, you'll be directed to withdraw the expression and apologise. If you do not comply, I'll have to end your question. Lastly, I remind and caution everyone present at this meeting to refrain from making defamatory statements, especially as the proceedings are live streamed. Under the City's Standing Orders, Local Law 2017, members of the public can ask up to 2 questions and have a maximum of 2 minutes per question for the questions to be asked and answered. As presiding member tonight, I will allow up to 4 questions per person. Please note that sub-questions, being questions within questions, will be counted towards the total number of questions permitted. The question number and time limit is to allow fair and equal opportunity for everyone to ask their questions before the proceedings continue. Presently, I have 5 members of the public who have given prior notice to ask questions, these being Ms Hollands on behalf of Bragg, Christine Padua, Martin Cardoso on behalf of Belmont East Ward Connect. Are there anybody else? Paul Hitt. Thank you. Please state your name and suburb only. Please ask your question or questions, noting you have 2 minutes per question for the question to be asked and answered. Ms Hollands, please come forward for your personal questions.
Good evening, Mayor and councillors, and the few people in the public gallery. Firstly, I do not give consent to being on camera, and any perceived consent under duress. Okay, the Bragg questions. On tonight's agenda, the policies are up for review. One of those is the live streaming policy. I spoke against the proposed change that would give the CEO control of the live stream and any edits without the council having to vote on it, whether to put it back or to keep it off and leave it off. Our current policy allows it to be the council to vote on this. This means our council are the decision makers, which they are elected to do, not the administration. So my question, as Mayor, can currently, in conjunction with the CEO, mute or exclude any part of a meeting considered inappropriate. I would like the Mayor to tell me which section of the Act or regulations allows for the live stream to be muted or excluded if considered inappropriate.
I have to refer to the CEO. I haven't got that right at hand.
Thank you, Your Worship. The specific clause obviously relates to confidential matters that are discussed behind closed doors, which is contained within the Local Government Act. This is a policy separate to the Local Government Act, and that is up for consideration tonight, and Council will consider that when they get to the item. Thank you, Your Worship.
Just for clarification, Mr Christie, did you mean that this only can be invoked if it's a confidential item? Is that what you're saying?
I don't believe he said that, but I'll refer to it.
Well, you said about confidential items.
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I didn't. What I said was the confidential matters are contained within the Local Government Act. I can't remember the specific clause, but items that are discussed behind closed doors can obviously be not included if they are confidential in nature. And as I said, Council will consider this item when they get to the item this evening. Thank you,
That's
Your Worship.
not what I actually asked, because I did ask about muting or excluding.
Next question, please.
Refer to that. Have to come back next time. I note in the minutes from February there were 4 confidential items. 1 related to a code of conduct matter, 2 tenders and the seniors lease. Local Government Administration Regulation 11B reads, where a member enters or leaves the meeting during the course of the meeting, the time of entry and departure as the case requires in the chronological sequence of business of the meeting, and 11D requires details of each decision made at the meeting. And according to the minutes, only the IT officer departed the meeting at 7:56. 2 councillors, being Councillor Davis and Councillor Aberdeen, were absent in February. Although last week when the minutes came out, there was no names associated with any voting. I note that's now been corrected. There's no details provided for these decisions, only accepting officers' recommendations. In terms of the Code of Conduct matter, it shows that only 6 councillors voted, it was tied, and the Mayor got a second vote. It also states that it was an alternative motion which was voted on. So my question, was the councillor subject of the Code of Conduct matter in the room when the complaint and subsequent decision was discussed, as that could possibly be, seen by the complainant as not being terribly fair?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Your Worship. The matter was discussed behind closed doors and it is a confidential matter. I'm not at liberty to discuss that any further. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay.
Thank you. Next question.
To state that a council of alternative motion was accepted tells you nothing. Without discussing the content of the complaint, why was it not worded that the complaint was either unsubstantiated, substantiated, penalty, no penalty?
Mr CEO?
Again, Your Worship, it's a confidential matter and I'm not at liberty to disclose any of that that happened behind closed doors. Thank you,
That
Your
has
Worship.
been done before, however, CEO.
Thank you. Next question.
What section of the Act or regulations allow for the minutes on confidential items to exclude details of each decision as per 11D and just stating accepting officer's recommendation or alternative council motion with no information as to what it was that and which could be done without revealing the confidential part of the decision? Or do all these questions I have to ask when I make my complaint to the inspector?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll take that question on notice.
Thank you. My personal questions. Okay. I've been asking about the removal of councillors from the advisory group for some time. The administration changed the terms of reference of these groups last year, even though the terms of reference were a council resolution in the first place, and suddenly the councillors were no longer on them. I can hardly believe that after asking in November and December last year, I finally got an answer to my question, which was which section of the Act or regulations prohibits councillors from being on advisory groups. The response was, while the Act does not expressly state that elected members cannot participate in advisory groups, it clearly defines the roles of the CEO and the council. So my question, now you all know that you can participate in these groups and any changes to the Acts you were all told about do not prohibit you from being on these groups, when will a councillor put up a councillor motions and get back on the group? Because the community votes for the councillor, not the replacement officers who stepped into the role.
Mr CEO, wish to speak on that?
Thank you, Your Worship. As I've explained previously, there was changes to the Local Government Act and the terms of reference and these working groups are considered administrative in nature and that's not the role of elected members. Thank you, Your Worship.
Next question,
So are you
please.
suggesting that the answer I got at the last meeting was incorrect?
Next question, please.
Well, here's an answer, because I read from what my response
Go ahead,
was.
Mr CEO.
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I don't.
Schedule 2, Section 13 of the Administration Regulations requires that when a CEO has been employed for 10 or more years that the contract goes to advertising. Given it will be 10 years by September, October 27 for the 10 years to be up for Mr Christie, and given the model standards for CEO recruitment seem rather long and detailed, when will we be likely to see the position advertised? Will it be later this year or early next year?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Your Worship. We'll take that question on notice.
Thank you. The work on Belvedere Street is apparently about to commence. Will the underground power be done prior to the start of work? And if not, what precisely will be done in stage 1? And will it mean redoing it again if the underground power goes in later?
Director of Infrastructure Services, please.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Rossi. No, the underground power will not be done at the same time as the first part of the works, but we will be installing all the infrastructure to facilitate the underground power afterwards.
It's a bit hard to hear. And my last one, could you please provide me the number of properties that have rate exemptions and the breakdown if it includes state housing or properties that get exemptions for other reasons? And could you also provide the cost to ratepayers for these exemptions, which are subsidised by other ratepayers?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll need to take that question on notice.
Move to Christine Padua.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors, city officers and members of the public gallery. The rules for public submission time and deputations provide that submissions may be made verbally and that written submissions are requested only where possible to assist with the recording of forum notes. My first question is, where in the standing orders or the rules for public submission time and deputations is it specified that a verbal submission will not be recorded or summarised as part of the public record?
Mr Seer.
Thank you, Worship. I'll need to take that question on notice.
Can I ask with that as well then, on if there is no provision, on what basis does the city determine that only written submissions are included in the public record?
Mr Seer.
Thank you, Worship. I'll take that on notice as well as the first question, given they're both linked. Thank you.
Thank you. A previous version of the meeting recording provision within the city's live streaming policy framework required decisions to mute or exclude parts of a recording to be reported to council and confirmed at a subsequent ordinary council meeting, with council able to revoke or change the decision. Can the city explain the governance rationale for removing that council oversight mechanism?
Well, there'll be a decision tonight, but Mr Seer.
Thank you, Worship. The rationale behind that decision is it's the CEO's responsibility for the preparation of minutes of agenda briefing forums, council meetings, electors meetings, and it is felt that that's an administrative function. But again, council will consider that this evening, as the Mayor has said. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. My final question, how can elected members fulfil their oversight role in relation to the public record where verbal submissions may not be recorded, decisions affecting meeting recordings are not subject to council review, and the reason for those decisions are not included in the public record?
Mr Seer.
Thank you, Worship. That's not strictly correct because the council endorse the minutes and the ABF matrix at these meetings, ordinary council meetings, so they do have oversight and they do endorse the minutes from those meetings as a true and accurate reflection of what happened at the meeting. So they do actually endorse the minutes. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Move to Martin Cardoso for his personal questions first.
Martin Cardozo Redcliffe. Good evening, Mayor, councillors, city officers and members of the public. The following questions arise from the city's written responses to my questions 3 and 4 at the February 2026 Ordinary Council meeting and seek clarification of the process described in those responses. My first question. In its written response to my question 3, the city confirmed that no summary of verbal submission was published in the agenda briefing forum matrix. Given that the minutes of the annual electors meetings do not include a non-verbatim summary of the reasoning presented by electors in support of their motions, and noting that officer reports provide detailed reasoning to elected members when those motions are later considered, is it reasonable to expect community members to return to a later agenda briefing forum to repeat their reasoning so that elected members can hear it?
Mr Seer.
Thank you, Worship. I think the response that was provided is more than adequate. In that response, I believe it was stated that there is an opportunity for electors to attend the agenda briefing forum and make submissions on the item when it's presented to council at the agenda briefing forum. And the councillors have an opportunity prior to the meeting or during the meeting to seek further information on any matter that was raised at the electors meeting. And they also have an opportunity to defer the item if they don't believe they have sufficient information to make an informed decision. Thank you, Worship.
Next question, please, Martin.
The second question. In response to my question 3, the city confirmed that no summary of the verbal submission was published in the agenda briefing forum matrix, noting that written submissions are included only where provided through the submission pro forma. If a community member returns to an agenda briefing forum to provide further verbal submissions explaining the reasoning behind an elector motion. Does the city recognise that, in the absence of a written summary, that reasoning would again not appear anywhere in the published public record?
Mr Seer?
Thank you, Worship. I would probably suggest that if that was provided in writing, it would be included in the public record. Thank you, Worship.
That wasn't a question, but I'll accept that.
Next question.
Question 3. In response to my question 4, the city advised that elected members who were not present at the agenda briefing forum may request information from officers prior to or during the meeting. Where the content of a verbal submission does not appear in the agenda briefing forum matrix, can elected members request and obtain from officers a non-verbatim summary of that submission so that all elected members have access to the same information before making a decision at the ordinary council meeting?
Mr Seer?
Thank you, Worship. As I've stated previously, there is an opportunity for elected members to seek further information on any item that is coming forward towards council at an OCM. They can do that prior to the agenda briefing forum, and they can do it at the agenda briefing forum or in the week preceding the council meeting. Thank you, Worship.
So can I just clarify, Your Worship? If they ask for a copy of a summarised version of a verbal submission, will they be able to obtain it? That was the
Mr
question.
Seer?
Thank you, Worship. If an elected member asks for information along that lines, then administration would consider that and provide what information they were able to.
So elected members can get it, but the public can't. Is that what you're saying?
Mr Seer?
That
Thank
wasn't
you,
a question.
Worship. Well, I
I'm
guess
happy
the issue here is it's not the public that make the decision at the council meeting, it's the elected members, and the elected members need to have sufficient information in front of them to make an informed decision. And I would suspect that given the decision that was made at the council meeting in relation to the recent electors meeting, that the councillors felt that they had sufficient information to make an informed decision. Thank you, Worship.
Okay. My last question.
Thank you.
The agenda briefing forum matrix is provided to elected members prior to the ordinary council meeting as the record of submissions and deputations made at the forum. Where a verbal submission has been made and no written summary has been provided or recorded in the matrix, does the city consider that elected members who were not present at the agenda briefing forum have access to the same information as those who were present when making their decision?
Thank you, Worship. As I've stated, we provide information to them and as part of the agenda, and if they feel that they have insufficient information or seek to clarify anything that's in that, they can do that. And so therefore I would suggest, yes, they do have sufficient information to make an informed decision. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Questions on behalf of Belmont East Ward Connect?
Thank you, Your Worship. Presiding Member, my next questions relate to governance and oversight. Council is being asked tonight to endorse a large number of policies under a single item, including the live streaming policy. Under the Local Government Act, Council is responsible for determining policy, and those policies in turn determine what forms part of the public record of Council proceedings. At the annual electors meeting held in 2025, electors carried motions requesting that the city live stream agenda briefing forums, live stream annual electors meetings, review the application of the directly affected requirement, consider changes to how members of the public are captured during live streaming. Those motions were carried by electors, noting that the current framework establishes minimum compliance and that the state government's reform process is progressing towards standardised meeting procedures which place greater emphasis on verbal participation during meetings. Compliance establishes a minimum standard, and the question for Council is whether the public record is complete. So my first question: the city advised that 54 motions were carried at the annual electors meetings between February 2016 and February 2026, and that Council noted consideration of those motions. When was the most recent occasion on which Council resolved to support or adopt a motion carried at an annual electors meeting, and what was the wording of that motion and the date of that ordinary council meeting at which it was adopted?
Mr Seer?
Thank you, Worship. I will need to take that question on notice.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Second
Mark.
question. How does the city define the term open proceeding within its governance framework?
Mr Seer?
Sorry, can I maybe ask you to...
Yeah, it's a
I think you said
technical...
open proceeding.
It's a technical governance term, so hopefully the governance office team will know. How does the city define the term open proceeding within its governance framework?
Mr Sear?
Thank you, Worship. I might need to take that on notice unless the Manager of Governance and Legal or the Director can respond. Thank you, Worship.
Director of Corporate and Governance?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think I concur with the CEO. It's not a term I'm familiar with, but we'll take it on notice and have a look at it for Mr Cardozo.
Next question.
The reforms relate extensively to open proceedings. Question 3. Given that agenda briefing forums are open to public attendance, allow public submissions on agenda items, and are listed as public meetings in the city's information statement, does the city consider agenda briefing forums to be open proceedings for governance purposes?
Mr Sear?
Thank you, Worship. I think I've probably answered the similar question to this on numerous occasions for Mr. Cardozo.
Specifically relates to the term
so
open
I would
proceedings.
suggest that everything we do here is consistent with the Local Government Act and with our meeting procedures, and I'm confident that we're fully compliant. Thank you.
Are you taking that question on notice, Mr CEO?
Next question, please.
Okay. Last question. Given that agenda briefing forums are where the majority of discussion on council decisions occur, verbal submissions and deputations are made at those forums, and those contributions are not captured in the public record, how does council consider that adopting the current live streaming policy without review supports its role in overseeing the completeness and integrity of the public record, particularly for a Tier 1 local government, and noting that the current framework does not clearly address how verbal participation is captured as part of the public record?
Mr Sear?
I'll just clarify. Obviously, Mr Cardozo says this is where the majority of the discussion happens in relation to council items. The Agenda Briefing Forum is an opportunity for officers and elected members to ask questions and for officers to present on items.
That's correct.
So it's
Significant
not where,
deliberation.
It's not, if I can, it's not where discussion takes place on the item. The discussion actually takes place tonight at the ordinary council meeting, where they have an opportunity to move, speak for, speak against, but in an attempt to answer it in more detail, I will certainly take that question on notice.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Paul Hitt.
Paul Hitt, Belmont. I'd just like to ask, my first question is, how many councillors have taken the time to walk through Severn Walk of late? I take it...
That would be up to the councillors, but
Yeah.
that's your first question. I haven't, not recently, no.
And it looks like no other councillors have as well. Okay. I realise there's construction taking place on the adjoining land, but the once iconic Severn Walk is now a dangerous thoroughfare by anybody's standards. The condition of this once well-used walkway is a disgrace. I visited and walked the full length last weekend, and there are even homeless people actually living on the banks of this waterway, you could call it, I guess, drainage. What is being done by the City of Belmont to upgrade and make safe this historical throughway to for the residents of Belmont?
Mr CEO?
Thank you, Worship. May defer to the Director of Infrastructure Services, but I would point out that Severn Walk is actually a state government asset and owned by the Water Corporation, but I believe the Director may have more information about what is proposed, subject to the development that's going on at the moment.
But the City of Belmont's maintained this area for numerous years now.
A response from the Director of Infrastructure Services.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Rossi. So actually, a section of Severn Walk is closed, and if people are walking the entire length, that would suggest they're not walking along the path, because the path is actually closed for a large length of it because of the construction works. So the construction works are expected to continue until September, October. And subsequent to that, we'll have to go in and tidy up certainly all the work that has been done. There was also a landslide following one of the storms, one of the embankments. So we have to discuss with Watercorp about reinstating that as well to make it safe before we can actually open that section of the walk. With regards to the Severn Walk in total, I know that Watercorp are discussing with ourselves a master plan for the future of the Severn Walk and what we do there. Our current arrangement with Watercorp, I think, finishes in 2029, and then we will be talking about what we do subsequent to that.
And the officers have heard about the homeless people that you've mentioned, and they'll obviously get their officers down there to make contact with them and provide services. Next question, please.
I'm not sure all the councillors are aware of it. The new crossing just put in on Fulham Street, opposite the local MP's office. I go down Fulham Street nearly every day. On a couple of occasions lately, I've nearly knocked somebody over on that crossing due to the vehicles being parked adjacent to it. You can't see when the people step out. They step out right in front of you. And I'd like to see, well, will the council look into this?
The Director of Infrastructure Services, are you able to respond?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Rossi. Yeah, we will look into it. I know that in relation to the Wright Street crossing, there have been some concerns raised about cars not slowing down. So we're actually getting a safety study done on both of those crossings. So the matters that Mr. Hitt has just mentioned will be investigated.
Last question. As a past councillor, I'm aware that councillors are supposed to represent all the people and residents of Belmont, and they receive a communication allowance to assist them to do this. I recently phoned a sitting councillor to express my concerns, and he has never replied. If this is an example of a councillor representation, I'm very disappointed. I therefore ask, does the council endorse this poor communication between councillors and its residents?
To be fair, did you leave your name and phone number? Because that's important. I get a lot of prank calls. I get a lot of stuff from overseas.
I left my name.
You left your name and your phone number?
Yep.
Mr. CEO.
Your Worship, I can't comment on why an elected member maybe didn't return the call, but I could probably assume that they may have been busy, they may have had other matters to deal with, perhaps not recognising the number if it was dialled. They perhaps, like yourself, believed it may have been a crank call or, these people that telephone and seek a lot of information from you, and without knowing who the caller is, they may have chosen to ignore it, as I do sometimes. Thank you, Worship.
So you haven't answered whether you endorse it or not?
I don't know if we have a policy to endorse in that area, but I'll ask the CEO.
Well, thank you, Worship. We have a customer service charter, which we would expect staff and councillors to be mindful of. But whether I endorse it or not is irrelevant. I don't know what the context of the call was. I don't know whether they knew who the person was that was calling. So I'm unable to confirm that, Your Worship. Thank you.
No, I'll ask the Mayor whether he endorses it.
Well, I don't know what the situation is. If people leave their name, I will try and normally ring back, but it depends. Did I hear the numbers correctly? Sometimes I spend ages trying to ring the number back, and I've got multiple numbers because the numbers are not clear. I don't know the situation, Paul. That's the honest truth.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Close question time at 7:04 p.m. We move to 6.1, matrix for the agenda briefing forum held on the 17th of March. Are there any questions on the matrix? May I have a move and a second to receive and note the matrix. Moved by Councillor Sekula, seconded by Councillor Harris. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Carried unanimously. Thank you. 9-0. The ordinary council meeting of the 24th of February 2026. Are there any questions on the minutes? May I have a move and second to confirm the minutes as a true and accurate record? Moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Kudjitsky. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Councillor Sessions. There we go. Carried unanimously, 9-0. 7. Questions by members on which due notice has been given. Without discussion, there are none. Response to questions taken on notice. There are none. Questions by members without notice. Are there any questions by members? There are none. New business of an urgent nature approved by the presiding member or by decision. Are there any new business for urgent nature? I don't believe so. Business adjourned for the previous meeting. There is none. Reports of committees, there's none. Reports of administration. I'll go through each one. 12.1, withdrawn by myself, but will be moved by Councillor Sessions. Amendment number 25 to Local Planning Scheme number 15. 12.2, the Council Policy Review. Councillor Davis.
Your Worship.
No. Oh, okay, you're withdrawing that. 12.3, response to the WALGA Electoral Report discussion paper. Councillor Kudjitsky. 12.4, local government reform, amendment to the Code of Conduct for council members, committee members and candidates, and review of Council Policy 60. March Budget Review. 12.6, accounts for payments for February. Monthly Financial Report for February. Internal Audit Report for 2026. None. May I have a mover and a second to adopt the balance of the reports en bloc with absolute majority decision, with the exception of items 12.1, 12.2, 12.3. I need a move by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Harris. Voting is now open. Please use the button on your microphone screen. Carried unanimously, 9-0. For those members present in the gallery, please note that those items that have not been withdrawn are now been adopted by Council. You're welcome to stay and observe the remainder of tonight's proceedings, or you may wish to leave when convenient. As outlined previously, please do not rely on any Council's decision until formal notification has been received in writing. Thank you. We move to 12.1. Councillor Sessions.
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. So this is just with comment to your alternative motion. I don't know if we can get that on the screen.
I'll just get a seconder while we get up the screen. Councillor Kudjitsky. We'll get that on the screen. I do apologise. There's a lot of writing there.
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
could you allow us a few minutes to read this, because I haven't seen it before. It's the first time I've...
No, it came out on Friday.
Did it?
Yes, it did.
Sorry.
And it's on your desk, by the way, so you feel free to read it, but we'll just give a minute. But it's also on the screen. It's also a memo on your table. Councillor Marks, I'm happy to read it out. Oh, okay. No, it should be on your table. I've got it on my table, but I'm happy to read if everybody else wants me to read it. Okay. Number 5, note that the scheme amendment is being progressed in the direction of the West Australian Planning Commission to align with the modifications that have been directed to be made to the draft Golden Gateway Structure Plan. 6, Note that in relation to the Ascot Kiln site, the West Australian Planning Commission modified the Golden Gateway Structure Plan and Scheme Amendment do not reflect Council's previous resolutions, which include a February 2025 resolution on the draft Golden Gateway Structure Plan that recommended a requirement for a separate site-specific local development plan for the Ascot Kiln site. B, a March 2020 resolution to write to the state government requesting the kilns be restored and the site designated for tourist recreational purposes. C, a 2017 resolution that the now defunct draft Ascot Kilns for a maximum building height of 5 stories. 7, that all letters advertising in any form of public communication relating to the scheme amendment explicitly state that the city has been directed by the West Australian Planning Commission to make modifications to the draft Golden Gateway Structure Plan. These directed modifications override the positions previously resolved by Council. B, the City has been directed by the West Australian Planning Commission to prepare a scheme amendment that is consistent with the West Australian Planning Commission modified draft Golden Gateway Structure Plan. And C, all aspects of the amendment that change from Council's resolution on the draft Golden Gateway Structure Plan are clearly identified so residents fully understand what has been altered.
My apologies, Mr Mayor, I have seen it.
That's okay.
I read it on Friday.
And now I've read it out, so now you've seen it. And it's been since Friday, lots happened. Back to the mover. Over to you.
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. Not a lot to say on this, but I do think it's important that residents are notified about why these changes have been made and by whom.
Seconder.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. The substance of this motion is a procedural next step to progress the local structure plan that was initiated by Council. And this motion, as amended by the Mayor, ensures clarity is provided for the community on the matter that the Minister will be deciding upon once the scheme amendment is advertised. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishes to speak before I speak? Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I support this motion. I think it's really important that residents do understand that the state government are kind of taking over on the direction of this area, and it's especially important to know that the kilns area that is so important, such an important part of Belmont and Ascot, and it's been an area that people have really fought for a long time, is possibly going to be out of council hands and into state government hands. So we might not even really have much of a say what is going to occur there. So very important for residents to know that this is what we have done and what we have tried to do, and now the state government are sort of ticking along with this and taking the next steps. So yeah, it's a good change. It's a good motion. I support it.
Anybody else wishes? Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. Yeah, I think this addition from yourself is a good one. It does make clear the situation that we're in. There have been changes made to the structure plan, and our hand is effectively forced here. It will be good for residents to take this opportunity to provide feedback on the new plan, and so that we've got a collection of comments to pass on. But those comments will be informing the state government decision-making process rather than a local government one. And making that clear is a good decision. So I support the alternative.
Anybody else before I speak? No? Okay, then I'll speak briefly on it. This item before us highlights the local government's subservient role in the hierarchy of the present planning system in WA. The West Australian Planning Commission has considered the local structure plan in its entirety and directed the City to make specific modifications. These directions are not open to negotiation, and the amendment before us simply gives effect to those instructions. Tonight, our role is limited. We're not making a final decision on whether to support or oppose the scheme amendment. we're being asked to progress it to advertising, which is the next step in the statutory process. The community will then have the opportunity to provide input, and only after that will Council be in a position to consider its formal position response to the West Australian Planning Commission before the amendment is presented to the Minister for approval. To be clear, the City originally proposed a 10% public open space for the Ascot Kiln site under the draft local structure plan. The WAPC has directed that this numerical requirement be removed. Previous council decisions have also been superseded. The original draft local development plan allowed for buildings up to 8 stories, and council resolved to reduce that to 5 stories. Under the WAPC's modifications, the site is now proposed to be coded RAC3, with a base height of 6 stories and the potential to reach up to 8 stories through bonus provisions. This is a significant shift and understandably a concerning one, particularly given the potential impact on the kilns. We also do not have the option to separate this amendment into 2 parts. The WAPC has directed that it be proceed as a single package, including both the Golden Gateway and the Ascot Kilns site. While other councils have opposed increased height and infill, the City has recognised its obligations to reach infill targets and reduce urban sprawl. The proposed heights within the Golden Gateway reflect that balanced approach. However, increasing height around a unique heritage site like the Ascot Kilns and directly across from established suburban housing does not reflect that same balance. I will pause there to allow for public comment before I provide further remarks when this matter returns to Council in the future. Back to the mover.
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. Nothing further to add.
You have the motion in front of you. And voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your screen. Carried unanimously, 9-0. We move to 12.2, Council Policy Review for 2025. Councillor Sakula.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wish to move a procedural motion in accordance with clause 11.1G of the City's standing orders, local law, to defer item 12.2, tranche 2.
Okay, I need a seconder. Councillor Davis, back to you. You've got the floor. Nobody else can speak on this.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. While I acknowledge that we have had time to review these items and have considered them through our information forums, it's clear to me that consensus has not yet been reached on several key areas. In light of this, I believe it would be both prudent and responsible to defer these to the May Ordinary Council meeting to allow further exploration and a consideration before we are asked to formally endorse them. These will shape the way the City operates over the next two years. It's therefore essential that they accurately reflect the collective view of this Council. I'm also of the view that policy should be refined through considered consultation rather than being changed on the floor of this chamber. For these reasons, I respectfully seek your support in deferring this item to the May Ordinary Council meeting so that we may reach a stronger and more unified outcome in the best interests of our city. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. We'll need to go to a vote. No, you don't. I believe you do not. I'll just clarify again with the CEO. I believe that you do not get to speak. Correct?
Thank you, Worship. Now, the standing orders are quite clear. The seconder does not speak. The mover of the procedural motion is allowed time up to 5 minutes to speak, and then my understanding is it goes straight to the vote. Thank you, Worship.
And voting is now open. Use the buttons on your screen. The procedural motion is carried, 7 votes to 2. Thank you. We'll now move to 12.3, response to WALGA electoral report discussion paper. Councillor Kulczycki. Now, before you start, as the presiding member, I've determined that item 12.3, response to WALGA electoral report discussion paper, will be addressed by each part individually. So we'll look at each part individually, but you've got the floor. Go ahead. Need a seconder? Councillor Sessions. So we'll be looking at the first point, which is the full spill elections every 4 years. Over to you, Councillor Kulczycki.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Rossi. The officer recommendation that's on the screen is not the alternative motion that I've submitted. And I did not understand that.
It is there in front of, it's on the screen now, sorry, we apologise.
Okay, thank you.
It's scrolled up now, it's all good.
So based on some engagements amongst elected members, I'm putting forward that the balance of council does not support full spill elections every 4 years. And the reason for that is the potential renewal of the entire council through full spill council elections every 4 years risks significant impact to continuity of the prior council strategic direction. And given the nature of the role of an elected member, there are operational and governance impacts that require consideration. The renewal of a council could also contribute to a loss of history, context and knowledge within the council crucial to good decision making that is very local and sensitive to ratepayer and resident expectations. The status quo of a half election every 2 years balances these risks. And I'll stop there as we are voting on these separately.
Thank you. The seconder wish to speak on this one? Full spill elections?
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. I'll second this motion, but I don't agree with it. I think there's a significant disruption to council every 2 years, and 4 years, I'd like to see how that works.
Thank you. Anybody wish to speak for or against it? Councillor Marx, then Councillor Davis.
I'm speaking for the motion, which is against the 4 years. I've been here long enough to see what happens at election time, and if you're going to go 4 years where a full council is put out and then re-elected, if there is an item or some sort of serious thing going on inside the council, there can be a complete 100% spill in the whole council. To stop this sort of thing, you need to have a spill every 2 years, which means that there is only a vote for 50% of the council. Once you lose everything by one of these type coups on the council, you never get it back, take you forever to recover, and you end up in all sorts of strife. So the whole setup of the Local Government Act with elections and councillors is that you do maintain some sort of continuity, even if there is a sudden spill. And even though we need about a 10% turnover of councillors every 4 years, not 100% turnover.
Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support not having a full spill every 4 years. I just think that the residents have some sort of sense of familiarity. So if all councillors are going up for election, yeah, I feel that the residents would lose that, and especially if there was a whole new council. Yeah, I don't like the idea of that, and I don't know why this is sitting on our desk. I'm not too sure what is the reasoning behind it, because it comes to mind that there was some dysfunction in some councils, and then this, all of a sudden we've got this where we want to have this full 4-year split. I mean, how is it going to occur? When is it going to happen? Are people going to, some councillors who have been voted in for 4 years, are they going to lose 2 years? I'm interested in how it's going to occur, and I don't really understand the reasoning behind it. So I'm totally not for it at all, and I certainly wouldn't be voting for a full 4-year split. Thank you.
I just asked the CEO to give us some clarity on that, because it's a survey only.
Thank you, Worship. My understanding is it's being considered by the state government, and what WALGA are asking for is feedback from the local government industry so that they can inform their submission to the state government on this item. Thank you, Worship.
Anybody else wish to speak for or against? No, then I'll... Councillor Ryan, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I agree with the move is... how he's moved it.
Councillor Sikula?
Yes,
I mean, Councillor Kudzinski, that you do not support 4 years?
No, that's...
All right. Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Then I'll speak very briefly. Well, I'm the opposite. Full spill every 4 years has my support. This approach would also be more cost effective, with elections held once every 4 years instead of every 2. Concerns about losing experience are overstated in my opinion. We have council officers, clear and achievable plans, along with proper record keeping, will ensure stability and preserve the knowledge. Remembering that state and federal governments operate successfully with full election cycles. If this model works at those levels, and we say we are the third level of government, there's no strong reason why local government should be any different. From my conversations with residents who ultimately vote for us in, there's clear support for this approach, and I'll support it. Back to the mover.
No further comments on this component of the motion.
So, councillors, could we have that back on the screen, please, for seconds? Just to get clarity so everyone understands. My apologies. We are voting only on number 1. And number 1 at the moment, the alternative council motion from Councillor Kudzinski does not support full spill elections every 4 years. That is what you're only voting on right now. Councillor Harris, clarification, go ahead.
This is going to sound very odd, but so a yes vote on this vote is going to say that we do not support full spill elections. Is that clear? And a no vote means that we do support it.
Mr CEO, you've got me.
Yes, my reading of is it, if you are supportive of item 1, that you do not support a full spill, then you would vote for the motion. If you are in support of a full spill, you would vote against it. I hope that clarified it. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay. Up on the screen, thank you. Voting is now available on your screen. Carried 6-2 for the full spill elections. Thank you. Don't want it. 6-3. My apologies, there was a late one there. We'll now move to the second part. We're only looking at number 2, and it says supports compulsory voting for local government elections. Councillor Kudzinski, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Rossi. So similar to part 1, based on conversations with elected members, I believe that we as a group, would support compulsory voting for local government elections. Of course, there are varied views, and obviously we'll be deciding that in just a moment. But my reason for this position is that compulsory voting would align the process for state and federal elections and is an Australian tradition dating to 1924. Improvement in participation rates should ensure councils fully reflect community sentiment and provide improved representation for the whole of the community.
The seconder, please.
Yes. I'm going to go against Chris on this one again. Sorry. Just feel like it today. I think it's quite interesting. I think quite a lot of people actually resent having to vote in elections, in the compulsory elections. I don't know that it will increase people's participation or interest in local government. So I'm just going to go against this one.
That's your prerogative. Anyone wish to speak for or against this side? Councillor Davis, then Councillor Marx.
I'll speak for it. I've always supported compulsory voting for local government. If it's good enough for state and federal, it's good enough for local. I mean, you know, when you're out there door knocking or out there speaking to people, the hardest thing is to get them to vote. It really is. I mean, you know, so many people you talk to are just not even going to vote. So compulsory voting and online voting compulsory would be even easier. They don't have to, you know, but that's another story for another day, another item. But yes, I think compulsory voting, definitely. Yeah, why not? Thank you.
Councillor Marx.
I'm afraid that I don't agree with compulsory voting, and people may have heard me say this before, but I'll say it again so that it gets pressed into your brain, that at the moment about 28% vote. Of that 28%, a third know what they're doing. So 10% in the community actually have some idea of what's going on and who the local member is or who the members are. Of the 28%, 18% vote on what you look like, how your tie looks, whether you're wearing a nice dress, whether your hair's done a certain way, who knows what else. But they take a guess at it. And so who elects it is the 10%. That's who makes the election decision. Doesn't matter how many people vote. The 10% will make the election decision. It may look better from a political viewpoint if 100% vote, and if they elect Councillor Sekula with a 60% because he looks so handsome, then no, so be it. But if you are really sincere about trying to get people to vote properly and everything, then it's only the 10%. It doesn't matter what you do. How does it work at state level? We've just heard the councillor talk about it works at state level. It works at state level because of parties. Now, it could work at local level as well if you want to include parties and politicise the local government in Western Australia. I don't agree with politicising the local government in Western Australia. If you do, well, then you vote for this. Because what happens on a state level is that people vote for Labor or Liberal or Greens, or maybe these days Pauline Hanson, I don't know, whoever it is that's there. They don't necessarily have any connection whatsoever with the candidate who's going. As a matter of fact, they probably don't even have a clue who he is until they walk into that booth and say, what's the Labor candidate? Oh, so they vote for a party. Now, when you bring in compulsory voting, this is going to be the outcome. You will have party voting. So you're going to politicise what at the moment is a non-political situation. If you want to do that, go ahead and have compulsory voting. But let me tell you, even if you're making compulsory voting, will it get any more people vote really who know what's going on? No.
Councillor Aberdeen, your hand went up.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. Actually, I'm against the compulsory voting. The reason behind it's not we are not the political people. We are just trying to working for our community. So I believe at least if it's the 100% voting, then we are not going to the community. Just we are waiting for our party, so party can organize our vote. But if not compulsory, then as a community person, as a community leader, we have to go to the community. So I'm against the compulsory vote. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side? Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. I do support compulsory voting. It would bring us in line with state and federal, along with most other states and territories around Australia for bringing in that kind of voting. I'm less concerned about political parties becoming involved through this than I am with the full spill elections, in which there's more of a financial incentive for various interested groups to have a how to vote card for the entire local government and potentially get a council that fully supports what they want. But I'd also note that our input on this item to WALGA doesn't really affect very much. We are one of 137 local governments in WA. We are voting to tell WALGA what to advocate for, and whether they will be successful in advocating to the state government is another very questionable point. So I don't want to spend too much time on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak for or against? Councillor Zakula, then Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Your Worship. Look, I understand this is a vexed issue, and it's an issue that's been discussed on many occasions. There are many points that Councillor Marx has raised which is important, and I agree with, especially the comments that you made about me. I appreciate those because they're very accurate. But I am in support of this motion from the point of view that we are the third level of government, and there needs to be a level of a consistency in terms of elections across the nation. Local government is the level of government closest to the individual, and in my opinion, it therefore has the greatest impact. I'm not aware at any time in this local government authority where we have free rates, where the council says, look, during this year you don't have to pay rates, it's okay. You do have to pay rates if you own a home. You do rent out a house, you have to pay rent. So it's only a logical, rational process that you should be engaged in voting, because the money you pay for rates goes to funding a range of things that occurs in this city. So so therefore individuals should be involved. The only way that you can make them involved is by making them vote. Because if you don't make them vote, they won't be engaged. You won't be able to try to facilitate them getting an understanding of the issues that actually confront this local government authority. I'd like to agree with what Councillor Davis has said, that getting individuals to vote is a challenge. So when I go to a door and I speak to individuals, like we all do, we have to do two things. Firstly, we have to convince them to vote, and we have to convince them to vote for that person that's there, in this case me or Councillor Marx or anybody else. By making them vote, you halve your task. You only have to convince them to vote for yourself. So I think that this is a great concept. I'm very much against parties being involved at local government. I don't like that. I know that parties are indirectly involved, if not directly involved, in local government elections. I mean, we would be foolish and naive to think that that doesn't occur, because it does. But the whole concept of parties being involved in local government is not a good outcome, and doesn't suit the nature of this third level of government in Western Australia. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I disagree with compulsory voting, and I think Councillor Marx summed up. So that's all I've got to say on the matter.
Thank you. I think that's covered everybody. And just for me, very briefly, Firstly, supporting compulsory voting is not because of party politics for me, far from it. I believe compulsory voting would encourage broader participation, ensuring that every resident's voice is recognised and that we remain accountable to the whole community, not just a small segment of the community, but everybody. And remembering that there are some are homeowners and some are renters. Everybody is important. It's also important to note here, this is a survey, as Councillor Harris is saying, this is just a survey only, one of many being sent into WALGA, and the outcome we have no idea, and it will eventually go to the state government. Thank you. We'll go back to the mover.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. It's always very interesting to hear the opinions amongst members within this chamber, as it is members of the community.
Voting's now on your screen. Just remembering, before we take the thing off the screen, we're doing number 2 only, and at the moment it says supports compulsory voting in local government elections. You're either voting for or against it. Thank you. Everyone's got carried 5 votes to 4. We're just waiting for the third one to come on the screen. Now, the last point. Request the Chief Executive Officer to provide a copy of the City of Belmont submission reflective of Council's recommendation as provided in attachment 12.32 to the West Australian Local Government Association. The mover and the seconder have got all 3. Go ahead, Councillor Gulgitsky.
Yes, so this is a procedural component of this motion, so I move it as it's presented here on the screen.
Seconder?
No comments, Mayor Rossi.
Anybody wishes to make a comment? Purely procedural. Councillor Harris, no? Back to the mover.
So I move that we endorse the entire motion as presented on the screen.
Thank you. We're voting for number 3, and it's on the screen just to make sure you're only voting for number 3, and please use the buttons on your screen. Councillor Ryan, Councillor Davis, carried unanimously, 9 votes to 0. Thank you. We now move to reports of the Chief Executive Officer. Request for leave of absence. Are there any requests for leave of absence, Mr. CEO? None that we're aware of. Notice of motion 13.2. Notice of motion from Councillor Davis, advocacy for the local government election online voting. Moved by Councillor Davis. I need a seconder, Councillor Sakula. Over to you, Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. Okay, so my motion is to advocate for online voting for residents and ratepayers. So I believe online voting is a progressive step for local government in Western Australia because it modernises democracy and makes it easier for people to participate in elections. Traditionally, many people in Western Australia vote in person or by postal vote. However, this system can be inconvenient for many residents. WA is geographically large and many people live in remote or regional communities where post boxes or polling places may not be easily accessible. Online voting would allow these residents to vote securely from their phones, tablets or computers without needing to travel long distances or rely on postal services. We already see successful examples of online voting around the world. For instance, Estonia has used nationwide online voting since 2005. In their election, citizens can log in securely and cast their vote digitally, which has increased convenience and participation. Australia has also experimented with digital voting systems. In New South Wales, the iVote system has allowed certain voters, such as people with disabilities or those living far from polling booths, to vote online during state elections. Online voting could also greatly increase engagement among young people. Today's youth are digital natives who use technology daily for communication, education and banking. Allowing them to vote online meets them where they already are on their devices. Making the voting process more accessible and familiar can encourage first-time voters to participate and develop lifelong voting habits. Additionally, online voting helps people who face barriers with traditional voting methods. For people living in remote communities, working long hours, travelling or studying away from home, online voting provides flexibility and ensures their voices can still be heard. Overall, introducing online voting for local government in WA would make democracy more accessible, inclusive and reflective of modern society. By embracing technology, we can ensure more citizens, especially young people and those in remote areas, have the opportunity to participate in shaping their communities. And just wanted to finish up on this as well. I don't know if many councillors experienced this or candidates when they were door knocking, but how many times did you get asked if you could vote online? Like, it must have been so many times. I couldn't believe it. And then I also, okay, I don't want to put anyone in it, but I do feel that some of the young people actually don't know how to post a letter. And I'm not joking. They actually don't. The youth have never done it before, so they don't know. They've never done it. It's this is something that's really part of the past. So everything's on your fingertips, on your phone. So yeah, I don't know. Ask an 18-year-old how you post a letter. Just please do that. See what they say.
Thank you. Interesting. Councillor Sakula.
Thank you, Your Worship. I speak in strong support of this motion, advocating for the introduction of online voting in local government elections in Western Australia. At its core, this motion is very much about one simple and powerful message. This is about making the democracy more accessible, inclusive and reflective of our society. We all know that involvement in local government elections has been a challenge over many years. Many voters don't engage, not because they lack interest, but because the process can be inconvenient and inaccessible in their situation. I guess in an era where we can bank, study and work online, it's reasonable to ask, well, why not vote online? Online voting offers a practical solution to this issue. Firstly, it increases accessibility. Secondly, it engages the younger voters. Thirdly, it provides a convenience. And importantly, this motion does not seek to replace existing voting methods, but to actually complement them. Postal voting and in-person voting would still remain available, and online voting simply adds another option, one that reflects the needs of a modern and diverse society. There is also an opportunity here to strengthen the number of individuals that vote. The increase in the number of individuals that vote leads to a stronger mandate and ultimately a greater trust in local government decision making. So Your Worship and my fellow councillors, local government is the level of government closest to the individual. It's where voices matter most. By supporting this motion, we are sending a clear message that every voice should be heard and that we are wanting to remove as many barriers as possible from that occurring. This is about fairness, this is about inclusion, and this is about ensuring a process evolves alongside our modern society. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. For or against? Councillor Sessions. Councillor Sakula, if you could turn the microphone off. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor Rossi. Although I believe that online voting would be a fantastic step forward, my understanding is that this will be extremely costly to develop and manage, and it's something the current state government are not open to pursuing. Therefore, I feel it may be a wasted exercise at this stage and best raised first at a WALGA zone meeting. And by the way, my 3 kids love posting letters.
Anybody else wish to speak for or against it? Councillor Harris.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. Though I do appreciate the effort to make government and voting specifically more accessible, I don't support this motion. In general, making voting easier and more accessible is great, but this comes with a lot of hazards. The organisation that runs our local government elections, the WA Electoral Commission, are not in a position to do or consider doing this, I think. Online voting is an extremely difficult IT security task and not one that the WAC is likely to be set up to perform. There were no shortage of issues that we witnessed during the last election cycle, including a variety of IT issues during counting and the sending out of already sealed envelopes meant to hold completed ballots. Adding in an extremely complex security task seems to me setting up the WAC to fail. Thank you.
Anybody else wishes to speak for or against? Councillor Mark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I must say I'm very much in line with the progressives on the other side of the table here tonight. Very, very nice to hear from Councillor Sessions and Councillor Harris. I agree with what they're saying. I don't think the government's got any intentions of doing it no matter what we say. Not even thinking of it. It's a mile off the screen. Certainly in America, there is a hell of a blue going on with that very honest man, Mr Trump, claiming that there is corruption happening with online voting. Exactly what he means, I don't know, but if there's any suggestion of that, and we have heard said from Councillor Sessions that, yes, it is difficult to do. Councillor Harris agrees with her, and I'm sure it'll happen at some stage, and when it does happen, then good. I'll be very happy to do some online voting, but I don't see it happening in the near future, in the next 10 years, but who knows? Thank you.
Before I go, Councillor Gujitski, Councillor Aberdeen.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. I don't agree with this one. I don't support this one, online voting. So the thing is actually the local council, we are trying to involve with our community. So we can involve our community. That means we need to go there. We can say what we want to do, what their needs. So we can more active with our community. So I believe this is online. So they don't think about anything. Just do it like a review. When you buy something, then after that we just review the Google review. I feel it's something like that. And also I feel it will be the very cost involved in here. And my colleague, very senior colleague, Javis said like she went to the long time people house. Yes, if she's this position long time, she has to be always the people. We are the very new people, so we went to the couple of time only. So I'm very disagree on this one. Thank you.
Councillor Kulczycki.
So I'll speak not in support of the motion that's put forward, though I acknowledge the effort that's been put into submitting this for decisioning tonight. The state and federal governments haven't had a good record in terms of their IT deployments with the various programs and releases that were made over the years. And Councillor Harris has highlighted some specific examples. So on that basis, I don't think we should be advocating in this direction, as we're not at the level of maturity required from an IT point of view to conduct online voting.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak for? Councillor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I disagree with online voting. I think there's too many ifs and buts to it, and it showed that in the American elections in the last 2 or 3 years. There's been a lot of controversy about it. With anything online, you've got to give all your anything they want to know everything about you, and you get it all online, and all of a sudden, it's the best way to get scammed. And I disagree with it entirely. If people residents, if they can't be bothered going down and voting in the normal way, there's something wrong. Because they all get notified in writing, and the ones that want to vote will vote, and the ones that don't, they're not interested. That's the way I look at it.
Thank you. If everybody else has spoken, I'll speak briefly. First of all, I like the point that Councillor Aberdeen raised, how it can be quite isolating councillors from the residents, because the best part is going to that door and door knocking and speaking to them and getting the feel of what they want and how they're feeling and what is really that they're asking you for. And I worry that it could be lost. But at the same time, I've been doing online banking forever. So there are some aspects that do work. But for this motion, the reasoning suggests that online voting systems improve turnout. But I'd be interested to understand what data supports that claim. If there is clear and credible evidence that participation improves, I would certainly give it a strong consideration. But at this stage, I've not seen that evidence, but it may be there. For me, public confidence in the process must come first. I'm not yet clear on how issues such as cybersecurity and, most importantly, independent verification of votes would be addressed in an online environment. In time, online voting may well become part of our system, and I acknowledge the councillor's willingness to think proactively. However, at this point, I believe the proposal is premature. With the potential for a range of changes, including the possibility of compulsory voting in West Australian local government elections, we don't yet know what the broader electoral reforms the state government will be considering, if any at all. I believe it would be wise to wait and see what comes from the Minister in the coming months before moving in this direction. Back to the mover.
Thank you, Mayor Rossi. Well, if online voting did come into effect, I certainly wouldn't stop door knocking or speaking to my residents. I don't see how that would affect that. In fact, I wouldn't do that at all, so that wouldn't come into it. But there's no real evidence so far to say that online voting doesn't work. I mean, when you talk about the USA, was that online voting or was that the counting system? So I think there's the counting system you were talking about. But as far as AI is concerned, I think it will definitely come into effect. I mean, AI is changing, it's changing so quickly. And to say that we don't know that if the Electoral Commission can handle it, I mean, unless you work for the Electoral Commission, could you be a mouthpiece for it? I don't understand how you could say that, sort of talk on their behalf. So they would probably outsource it. I can't, to an AI company. So yeah, I think it's progressive. It's easy. It's going to happen. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. And getting an envelope. I mean, how many times after the election do people say, "Oh, I didn't even post it. I left it on my kitchen bench." I mean, it's. You got 28%. We've got to do better. And online voting, it really is the future. And to sort of say, oh, well, we can't do it because, security, well, like you said, we have online banking, millions and millions of dollars. We have safeguarding. We have, it's the way it is. Everything's online. Your personal details, the Electoral Commission have all your personal details. So, yeah, I mean, if you don't want to vote for it, that's fine. But this is the future, and especially for the youth and people who can't get out of their house. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. The motion has not been carried. 2 votes to 7, 7 against. Matters for which the meeting may be closed. I will now close the meeting in accordance with section 5.234C of the Local Government Act of 1995. May I have a mover and a seconder to go behind closed doors. Moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Harris. Please use the voting is now open. Please use the buttons on your microphone screen. Carried unanimously. Would the IT officer please pause the live streaming? Would those in the public gallery please depart the chamber, which they have. That council accept the officer recommendation in relation to this item. Moved by Councillor Sessions, seconded by Councillor Sakula. The vote was carried unanimously. There being no further business to conduct, I thank all those in attendance and close the meeting at 8:03 p.m. Remind to all elected members to please return all confidential documents to the box in the foyer of the councillors' entrance here at the Civic Centre. Thank you very much.